Hey, riders and learners, we're back. Just wanted to show you this video about my recent experience riding an electric motorcycle. So I signed up for a demo lesson with Zero Motorcycles. They're a Cali-based motorcycle company, and they were doing a demo ride, allowing demo rides here in Raleigh. So right off of Glenwood, there's Team Power Sports. They set up the whole thing. It was great. Actually, went inside and took a look at some other bikes afterwards. But they helped to host the event. And so Zero Motorcycles is a Cali-based company that does only electric motorcycles. So I got the chance to sign up for a time slot in the afternoon, and I didn't have a motorcycle at the time, so I was able to just jump on this because I was missing my own motorcycle. So a little background on this one. This is the SRS. So the SRS is one of their aerodynamic lineups. It's a street bike, so they have a few street bikes in their lineup, and they have some sports bikes, but this is their street bike version. And it is extremely quiet. But that's probably one of the things that you'll notice the most in just a minute. You'll see here in just a second, right when I set off for the ride. I'm going to be following the leader in the neon green. But just listen to the motorcycle. It's on, it's about to go, and take a listen because it's extremely quiet. So that ride was great. I mean, the point where I probably was a little concerned was that the initial part, and that's probably why they put it on eco or econ mode for all of us to start. It was the ignition, and actually it's not the ignition, but trying to get off the line and feeling the power and understanding the power that's in it, along with the brakes. And I wasn't the only one that probably had a little bit of trouble, as you can see here. My friend to the left over here, he had some issues with the brakes on the electric motorcycles. He was braking a little bit too early, and he had some challenges. But we all had some challenges. We're all learning about the bike. But the brakes and the power, the torque, really is the word I'm looking for, was pretty strong. So if not used to a torquey bike, you probably want to take it easy on the first time you're getting on an electric bike. But also to talk a little bit about the SRS, it comes in two models. It's a standard model and the premium model, which is about $2,000 more, and then there are options that come with it. Now there's the power tank and the extra charger. It's like 6 kilowatt rapid charger. And I think, usually what you're going to get is in terms of add-ons or things to add on to the battery and to the battery life. And so we'll talk about that a little bit later. But what the experience was in general was that it was really torquey. And here, actually, we stopped real quick to have our leader change us from eco mode to canyon mode, which is a little bit more torquey as we got used to it. So listen to the explanation in a minute.
Linear torque curve, linear torque lines. So it's fast from 40 to 80 as it is from 0 to 40. Okay, and it's 140 foot-pounds of torque. So these things will go fast in a hurry. Because of that, we're going to start you guys off in eco mode. Eco mode is one of the 5 pre-programmed ride modes, and it's the mode you would choose if you wanted to maximize the range of the motorcycle without thinking about how you ride. It limits the top speed, it mutes the throttle response a little bit, does a few few other things to maximize the range. We do that just so you guys get accustomed to the, sort of the feel of the throttle and the torque. You can change ride modes on the fly. However, today we're going to pull over about a third of the way into the route and change the ride mode while we're stopped, just for safety. And we're going to go from Eco to Canyon mode. Canyon mode is my favorite ride mode. It's these bikes are all born and raised in California, in Santa Cruz, California, which is great riding. Lots of hills and curves and mountain valleys, and so we put Canyon mode on this with that kind of riding. It's going to be max power, max torque, and almost max engine braking, or what we call engine regen. So if you've ever been on one of those twisty roads where you roll off the throttle, kind of get set for the turn, and then roll on coming out, this will basically trail brake for you. So you will need very little, if any, braking going into those turns, because that engine braking is going to kind of get the momentum on that front wheel where you're getting good traction on your turning tire. And then when you snap the throttle coming out, it's going to stand up.
Alright, you just doubled your torque!
Too slow for you?
Oh no, you're good, you're good.
That's so you catch it up every once in a while.
Oh no, it's fine. To be honest, I didn't feel a huge difference between Eco mode and Canyon mode. I mean, to me, coming from a cylinder engine, gas vehicle, all of it seemed torquey to me. But actually, I was able to get used to it a little bit more throughout the ride, and I actually missed my motorcycle even more. But I can see why someone would like, an electric motorcycle. It's very easy. There's no clutch. There are no gears to think about. And to talk a little bit more about that, our leader is here giving a much better explanation.
One of the ways that Zeros are different from other motorcycles is they don't give off any heat, which on a day like today is nice, right? No combustion, no exhaust, no heat coming up at you from the bike, which is especially nice, at idle or a traffic light or something. Another difference is that Zeros don't make any noise. Now we can debate whether that's cool or not over a cold beer, but for the sake of this conversation, I want to point it out just from a safety standpoint, okay? Because we're all accustomed to having an idling motorcycle making noise, telling us that it's awake and ready to go, and that the throttle is hot, okay? So right now, this indication is that the kill switch is off. When you turn the kill switch on, you're going to get a speedometer and a green light in the corner. Throttle is now hot. Bike sounds just like it did 5 minutes ago when it was minding its own business. But if you grab the throttle now, it's going to go. So I sometimes think about this as like a safety on the gun, right? When the safety's on, pull the trigger, nothing happens. When the safety's off, and you pull the trigger, something's going to happen. And so just don't get complacent with this, right? Because if you forget that the throttle's hot, you give it a handful, the motorcycle will depart your crotch without you. And that's no way to start a demo ride, right? All the other controls are going to be controls you're familiar with. You've got turn indicators and a horn on the left control. They're self-canceling, but some of these turns are shallow, so if it didn't turn off, push it, we'll turn it off manually. Front brake on the right control along with the throttle and the kill switch. This is a one-button cruise control. We won't use that on the demo ride for safety, but it's basically set it, forget it, cruise. The right foot control is the rear brake, and the left foot control is missing, along with the clutch. No gears to shift on this bad boy. I'll bet you $1 that every one of you is going to reach for the clutch the first time we stop. I go back and forth sometimes, and I still do that, but no need to shift gears on this motorcycle. It's a no gearbox, no transmission.
I think one of the things for me that would be a little bit strange transitioning, at least initially, to an electric motorcycle is that idea of not having any gears to use with your left foot and your left hand with the clutch. I feel like you spend all this time learning how to do that, how to orchestrate it and use, your full body's motions, both sides of the brain almost, when you take, your motorcycle tests and you're out there learning, messing up and possibly, falling over and dropping the bike. You do all that hard work to then not have to use those skills with an electric motorcycle. I feel like that'd be very frustrating to me. But I can't lie. I mean, it's a very smooth ride. It's probably very similar to a scooter, or same thing like an automatic motorcycle that a lot of companies like Honda are making, right? Where it's a dual clutch transmission, which is basically just a longer way of saying it's an automatic motorcycle. So there are a lot of pluses to it. It's actually, if you think about it, it's a little bit more inclusive. So for folks that are having issues with their with certain parts of their brain and their modalities, right? Especially with the wrists and the hands, and people who are in accidents, but they still want to ride a motorcycle. This is probably something that's great. So take a listen real quick to not only just mine, but there are also some riders who I caught some of their opinions on the bike, both here at the stop with my friend over here, my guy over here, struggling a little bit with the brakes, but also when we stop at the end, some people give their opinions on how the ride was.
So, I'm just waiting. Sorry about that.
Come on up, you're okay.
Especially in a group.
Yeah. They're what?
These are kind of addicting, especially when you're in a group.
You lost me in the back. We're all together now.
We're going to do it again?
They caught us. We have to be faster,
Sorry about that. I saw her moving over and they had the lane, so let me just go.
Yeah.
Slow on the take.
Man, that was good. What did y'all think?
That was great. It was smooth.
It's smooth. You gotta get accustomed to the regenerative brakes.
Yeah.
Like when you let off the throttle like full.
Oh yeah.
It's like, hey.
Yep.
You just gotta ease off of it a little bit.
You almost don't even need the brakes, because as soon as you let go, it's already stopping
That's
strong.
The first time when you came up to me, I said, "Oh man, I must have messed you up." I didn't hit the
Oh no,
wheel.
you're good.
Yeah.
We're all learning the bike at the same time. So, from my opinion, from my standpoint right now, would I get an electric motorcycle? I think the cost right now at $20,000 is probably a little steep for me. Maybe even if you add on the $7,000 of tax credit, possibly, maybe something to think about. But also in the charging, if you want to think about charging, if you have a long commute to work, this may not be the best option. But if you have a short commute, or you have a charging station both at home and at work, hey, you probably can make it work. I have no issues with the bike in general, but probably my one thing is just the styling. Even though this is a street bike by Zero Motorcycles, it does kind of look like a sports bike. I think I'll definitely reconsider once the styling changes, possibly. I know the power bank at the bottom probably allows or doesn't allow, hinders some availability for certain types of styling. But I think when the styling changes and when the efficiency of the battery changes and the length of time that it can hold a charge, I may in the future, just maybe, be sold. Anyway, riders and learners, thanks for listening. See you all soon.